Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing. It is Tuesday, the 27th of August. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined by Chris Jack. How's it going, Chris?
Not too bad, Derek. Yourself, how was your well-earned day off yesterday?
Yeah, it was very well needed, I've got to say. I was at Creamfields on Sunday, which is not too far from where I live. So, yesterday was a recovery session in footballers' terms. So, back on it today. No cryo chamber for me, but very much needed day of rest. So, big thanks to your good self and Joshua for manning the fort yesterday. We're back. Yeah, we're back, and there's lots to talk about with regards to Rangers. Of course, as Philip Clement said, we expect a busy week, and it certainly looks like a number of players are on the verge of leaving the club. There has been another player linked as well, which we'll get into. Where shall we start, though? News probably last night, Rapid Bucharest were linked with a move for Yanis Hagi. Their chiefs over there, their owner was saying how keen he was to bring him back to Romania. However, it's understood that Yanis has knocked back the prospect of moving back to Romania, Chris, to join Rapid Bucharest. So at this moment in time, he is still a Rangers player.
He is. We don't think he'll be a Rangers player for too much longer. It looks like hopefully he'll be able to do a deal to leave the club by the end of this week. It's not a surprise though that Bucharest or going back to Romania is. I don't know if it's a surprise that it's not the option that he's decided to go for. Now he's still young. He's still got plenty to offer the game, and I think it would feel quite a backward step to. I know he has to go somewhere and almost rebuild his career after a difficult couple of seasons, also with the injury and then that unsuccessful loan spell last year. He does have to go and rebuild a wee bit, but I think going back to Romania would be too far a backward step from him. I know he and his camp, his dad obviously, they see him playing at a high level. They see him being in a top 5 league. Unfortunately, he was in a top 5 league last season and it didn't work. Now, you also did a great podcast with some of the guys out there. I wrote a piece on how he was doing around about Christmas time, maybe, and that loan didn't go to plan. So I don't think there'll be a huge stream of Spanish teams looking to sign him on the back of that. But you would imagine he would be able to do better than going back to Romania. So I don't think it's a surprise in football terms, and obviously there's going to be a financial implication there as well. I think that there was numbers doing the rounds earlier on this week about the size of a drop that he would have to take in his weekly wage, and while I'm sure he's not short of a few pound at the end of every month, no player is going to want to take that bigger hit on their wages while they're still in those prime key earning years of their career. So hopefully he can get a move that suits him. Rangers also have to get something for him, but I don't think the fee is that big an issue. It's the wages in the Hagi situation. I don't think the Rangers will be hard to deal with. If someone could put a deal together that's good for Yanis, I think Rangers will be fairly good to deal with it. They're not going to really stick to a fee and hamstring themselves here because they know they need Yanis off the wage bill so the manager can then go and try and strengthen that number 10 area.
Yeah, well, his father is hit out at Rangers. You can go and read what he had to say over on the website, folks, but I'll read you some of the key points from it. He said Yanis isn't coming back to Romania now. If he does ever come back, it will be to Ferul Constanta. That's a club that Hagi owns and also manages. He says, forget what Rangers say. It's what I say that counts. He has a contract with Rangers first. And what has happened with him at Rangers is a story, an ugly story from the people responsible. It's ugly. This is a player who went there when he was young, was their best player, and then got injured. He fought back, and what happened? He's training on his own, or whoever he's training with But when something like this happens in Western Europe, we are told, what claims do you have if you are from Romania? Excuse me, what would I know? I played at the highest level, even though I'm from Romania. At one point, I just said to them, shut up. He won't come here because he has proved he can be at Rangers. He was their best player. So not beating about the bush, his dad there, Chris, not best pleased at how he's been treated at Rangers, with him jettisoned to the B team. But it's clear when the managers came in, he doesn't fancy him. You said, he went out on loan last season, didn't pull up any trees. And at the end of the day, it's a manager's decision that counts. If he did fancy him, he'd be in and around the first team, I'd imagine.
I don't think it's any surprise that Hagi Senior is standing up for Hagi Junior. I think he's very much backing his cause. I think to say that he was their best player may be stretching it somewhat. I think that's maybe that's a subjective. Other views are available, but I do like Hagi. I think he's a good player. He's always been really good to deal with. I think he gets Rangers. And we talk about players that come in and can have all the ability in the world. If you don't have the mentality for it, then you fall away. I think he ticks that mentality box. I think he enjoyed. He's also lived under that pressure throughout his entire life and his entire career. He got that pressure, the expectation, the demand, and was able to handle that. But if the manager doesn't fancy him, or there's financial implications of him staying and playing, ultimately there's only so much that both parties can do, and they have to try and find a solution that suits all parties. If Giannis was to still be here on Saturday morning, he's not going to work his way back into the team. So he then spends the months up till the January window playing B team football, potentially training with the B team, not being involved. And for a guy who was at the Euros this summer and played fairly well in the minutes that he got, it's a big drop off. So it makes, as much as he wants to still be at Rangers, sometimes you just have to admit it's not going to happen. His dad is never slow in coming forward to, I say, defend him and talk up his ability and what he's done. But I think that there has to be a sense of realisation here that it's not going to work out for him at Rangers, no matter how much the Hagi can't work at it and how much they want it to. It's not going to happen. Go and try and find a deal somewhere. I said, I'm not surprised it's not Romania, but I think he's still good enough to go and play for a good team at a good level. And if he does, I certainly wish him well. I'd like to see him go and kick on and be even better than he was before he got that injury that's ultimately been the beginning of the end of him at Ibrox, unfortunately.
Yep, Electro Rossi, not a good look for Rangers, regardless of the validity of Hagi's claims. I never like to see players sort of shunned from the first team. I think he's got a point there, but like you say, Chris, I think it's better for both parties for a departing of the ways, which is sad in a way. I think the knee injury has absolutely killed his Rangers career. Unfortunately, he's not the first, and I'd imagine he won't be the last to suffer a real bad injury that curtails the Rangers' career. But he did produce some magical moments, Giannis Hagi, and he certainly would leave with my best wishes. Another player that is set to depart, and Rangers have been trying to get him out the door for a number of weeks now, is Todd Cantwell. Chris, James with the point says, any truth in Cantwell to Blackburn? Of course, they were linked with the move for Rabbi Matondo last week. By all accounts, they have been offered a number of Rangers players, but Cantwell is certainly on their list, and looks like he will be another one, hopefully, that will depart now. But with regards to Hagi, he's not asked for a transfer away. Cantwell has, and he's not even training or he's not playing with the B team, whereas Hagi is doing so. Rangers need to get him out the door, Chris. Do you think that's imminent?
Could we hire a Parks or Hamilton minibus and just send Blackpool or Blackburn, send them a 5-a-side team down?
A job lot.
It would solve so many of Rangers' issues. I asked on Cantwell yesterday, didn't get any further on it. I'll ask again today and see where we can get to. It's one that Rangers just have to find a way to get a deal done. The longer it goes on, you fear that it will end up costing us some money somewhere along the line in terms of maybe some form of payoff or some kind of wage some wage agreement, but they just have to find a way to get that done. The Cantwell situation, it's going to cast a cloud over the squad and the club if he stays, because the question will get raised every so often. There will be social media stuff because he won't be able to help himself. If things don't go well on the pitch, there'll then be I don't think of a huge groundswell of opinion, but you will get fans saying, get Cantwell back in. He's better than Lawrence, or he's better than whoever the other number 10 that comes in. So it's definitely something that they have to make happen. They need to try and get him out the door. They need to free up those wages, because again, as we've mentioned a number of times on the show, not just in the last couple of weeks, the last couple of months, as long as this window has been going on for, that number 10 area, for me, if Rangers don't strengthen it properly, they don't win the league, regardless of a centre half or another midfielder or another wide player that comes in. That number 10 area is so important to the way that Clementine plays. If they don't get it right, there's no chance of going on and winning the Premiership this season, because the options that they've got, I'm sure we'll come on and talk about Alec Lowry as well. So there's a number of number 10s potentially leaving, but Cantwell is the main one. Cantwell's the one that's going to free up the wages for Rangers to then go and reinvest and try and strengthen that area.
Just on the transfer before we move on, I noticed this from Overland and Borders. He says, are you guys doing a transfer deadline day show? The good news is we are, buddy. So like the previous 2 windows, I think, or the previous 3, I can't remember now. But we will be doing the old transfer special. So hopefully you can join us for that, which is Friday night, I think, Chris, is it? It's Friday night, the transfer window shuts.
Friday at 11 o'clock it shuts. I've got champagne on ice and the bunting already looked out to see it off. I'll be like Hogmanay in the Jack household.
Class. I'll look out the good old yellow tie as well. Hopefully we've got a bit of activity to discuss, some signings to discuss as well, unlike previous windows. I don't think we had one. In fact, Oscar Cortez, but that was the worst told secret, I think, at the time. We all knew that was about to materialise. I think Rangers just delayed that announcement just to give us something to talk about. But hopefully we've got some news to discuss. Right, other potential departures then. You mentioned there Alex Lowry. According to reports down south, Carlisle United are keen on signing him, Chris. Not too sure if it would be a loan or a permanent move. I think, listen, if we've discussed Alex Lowry, and we'll discuss Lowry King as well, I don't think it's going to happen for them at Rangers, and I think it's probably best that they move on. I'm actually pleased at the Lynx, because I think they need to move down south, get away from home, just to develop further. And I think, Carlisle, relegated from English League One last season, looking to come back up. Well-supported side up in the north of England. I think that would be, I'm sure Alex Lowry would like to play in probably a league above, but that's probably his level at this moment in time. He has to go and play games, and it'll be a decent club for him to go to.
I think if it had been lower down League 2, you would have said surely he can do better. But I think, as you say, the fact they're looking to get back up, that maybe makes more sense. I'm slightly surprised that he is a League 2 club, but you then look at it, so if he can go there and impress, and he's then moving up that league, so he's not in League 1 straight away, but you go and you establish himself and you play some football, show what you can do. That then either then hopefully go up with that club, or another club then comes in for you at potentially a higher level. I think, as you say, Derek, he just has to move on, has to try and find a way to kickstart his career. It's just not worked. Now, there was so many people spoke about Alec Lowry, and when he was coming through the academy ranks, it was a case of wait till you see this boy, just you wait, and then he plays E-teens and you see a wee glimpse of him, then he's into the B team and you see more of him. First team involvement, there's been wee bits and bobs there. There's been flashes where you think there's clearly a talent there, but it's just not worked out. He's not played enough football. Has to go and have a season where he plays 40 games and just establishes himself, becomes a key player in a side. We thought and we hoped that would be the case at Hearts last season. That looked like a really good move for him. I think a lot of the fans were really encouraged by that move. It was a case of he can go there, he'll have a productive season there at Tynecastle and a side that should be winning, and as it turned out, we're winning more often than not. But again, it just didn't, for whatever reason, it just didn't work out. And as James says, I think stagnated is a good word for it. Now, so much, both him and Leon King, so much promise at a younger age. Now, Leon was linked with Newcastle at one point, linked with Man United at one point, and it just never happened. Now, Leon's also had more of a first team involvement in terms of the Champions League campaign. Arguably, that did him more harm than did him good. Being pitched into the side at difficult moments. And it's just not, for both of them, it's just not worked out. I don't know if there's much to be gained from a Premiership loan. Certainly in Alex's case, once you've been to Hearts, where else are you going to go? That's going to be better than that. Leon, again, I think it probably a good move for him. Go down south, try and establish himself. Just has to play regular football. Now, had very, very few chances under Clement so far. Even look at the weekend there, and Leon Balogun goes off. Leon King doesn't come on. That probably tells you where he is in the manager's plan. So hopefully the two of them can go, establish themselves, play some football. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it'll work out for them at Rangers. But I say it's not been for a lack of trying. And I say if both of them move on, like Yanis Hagi, I certainly wish them well.
Yeah, they've had a difficult start. Well, King has been linked with a move to Salford City. I think that's a loan inquiry that they're looking to bring him in. They're struggling at the bottom end of League Two Salford. And, of course, the club famously owned by the likes of Gary Neville, Paul Scholes and the likes over there. So, it would be an interesting move. For Leon, no disrespect to Salford, I think he could play up higher up the pyramid down south, Leon King, but it's a chance for both of them to reignite their careers that have, as has been rightly stated, stagnated. And so, they need to kick on. Wants to keep an eye on. Adam Devine also believe that he is free to leave as well. He's another one, Chris. It's just not going to work for him. We would have seen him before now. Bit of a shame. I remember when Michael Beale came in initially, and remember when the World Cup was on and Ridvan Shockhorer was injured and he played it at left back, and I thought he did well. He won man of the match, I think, was it against Ross County or some other team, I'm sure, and I thought he acquitted himself well, but then wasn't really seen since, and he's another one, had his loan spell at Motherwell second half of last season. Has to move on for the sake of his career, doesn't he?
He does. I think it was after that, might have been after that Ross County game, that I'm sure Beale said the captain has to look over his shoulder or something along those kind of lines. Another Michael Beale prediction that has not really stood the test of time. One of many. I think there was a moment in those early days for Devine where I thought there may be something there, but when you come into the side and you look impressive, you have to stay there. Also, once Barisic came back, Tav was always going to be really difficult to replace at right back. And again, you just, as the months go on, you feel it's just not going to work. Went out on loan to Motherwell last season. By all accounts, was fine without being great. And if you don't tear up threes at Motherwell, it's then a long way back to try and get yourself in this Rangers side. So again, another young guy who has had a decent Rangers youth career, just not been able to make that step up. I think it almost feels into what the manager was saying on Friday at his press conference. It was in part 2, I think, of the presser, and about youth development and about B teams and bridging that 16 to 21 gap. Also, the SFA had the report out last week into that, how they're going to try and address that. The manager actually spoke probably more at length on that subject than he has quite a lot of subjects during his time. You could tell that he was really into it and really passionate about it. Clearly got some good ideas on it. And it's these type of players, it's your Lowrys, your Kings, your Devines, that they've not been able to make that step from academy prospect to established Rangers first team player. And you do wonder, had the setup been different, had a different league structure, for example, been in place, would they have progressed better? Would they be able to make that transition? Or ultimately, are they just not at the level? I think for all three of them, you do wonder, they're not that far away. With a wee bit more help, with the right opportunities, could they have just made that transition from academy at 18-19 to first team at 21-22. I say for all three of them, it's not worked out. The challenge, of course, now for Rangers is to ensure that your next batch don't suffer the same fate. So you're looking at Cole McKinnon, part of the squad, Bailey Rice, good to see him back in the matchday squad. Like Zach Lovelace. How do Rangers get that transition right for these players? Because there's no point in guys like Lowry, all the talent in the world, coming through and not being able to make it. So that's something I know the Rangers Academy are working on. They're trying to find solutions for that. I think, as the manager outlined on Friday, it's a bigger issue than just one Rangers issue or one club trying to do it.
Yep, well said. A couple of points coming in just on King and Lowry. Tam Brown says, is Big Clint still at Carlisle? No, he's now assistant manager at Stockport County. So he's down nearer his old neck of the woods, says Clint Hill. This one, Scott says, do you think King and Lowry would improve the Bolton team? I don't think Lowry would get a game, in all honesty. I think King would be a decent squad option for Bolton Wanderers, Scott. But yeah, Lowry, I think Bolton have got a number of players in his position. He would find himself in a sort of similar situation as he's finding himself in now. So, that would be the case on that one. And just on that point about the youth, David Morrison, with an interesting point, says, still don't see Clermont giving many youth players a chance. Do you learn anything putting Dowell on instead of Rice on Saturday? I've seen a few people saying this, Chris. Kieran Dowell's another one, incidentally, has been sort of mumblings that he could be moving on. No real concrete move or link as yet. But does David have a point, do you reckon?
In a wider sense, yes, but not in regard to Saturday. It's actually something that Stevie touched on the post-match show on Saturday. Bailey Rice has not had a lot of football this season, not had a lot of training sessions this season, still working his way back from an injury. So it was a case of working him back into the matchday squad. I think he will get minutes at some point over the next few weeks, but it wasn't really a surprise that it was Dowell that got the nod off the bench. I think it was just more a case of you bring Bailey back into the first team, you give him that first team like matchday experience again. He will get his chance. I know he's someone that figures at the club really like. I see people in the comments mentioning Lennon Miller. I think that Bailey Rice is almost he's seen as the next one to come through, and it's in a case of if you go and you sign someone like Lennon Miller, or you go and sign another midfielder, what does that do to Bailey Rice's progression? How many minutes can he then get? Again, Michael Beale spoke in huge terms about him at the start of last season. Campaign didn't really go for him, had injury problems towards the end of it. It's still young, still got plenty of time, clearly got plenty of talent, and I think the manager will use him as and when he can. So I think the point does stand about playing guys like Dowell without picking on him. Would you rather see a younger player get those minutes in a game at home to Ross County where it's clearly won and there's absolutely nothing to lose? In general, yes, I think it's something Rangers do have to get better at, but it's also it's a downside of having a squad that all these guys are on big money. They all expect to play. They all want to play. That's the balance that I think the manager's trying to strike. How do you have a squad that's got established first team players that can go and win you the league, but still has that pathway as youth development? People always talk about it. They always say this is we speak of this pathway. Rangers have to have that pathway a lot more open, and it has to be better. I do think Bailey Rice will be that next one that gets that chance. Hopefully, as he comes back from that injury.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Right. Let's move on from potential departures to a potential incoming a link, a bit of a left field link we've seen over the weekend, Chris. Reports in Egypt suggesting that Rangers have failed with an initial loan with an option to buy bid for the left winger Ibrahim Adel, or Adel, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, his surname, but he plays for the wonderfully named Pyramids FC, a team that you can only find in Egypt, Chris, but Rangers apparently failed in an initial bid for him. He was part of the Egypt under-23 squad at the Olympics. It came fourth in France recently in Paris. Not someone I'm aware of, I've got to say, Chris. Another sort of North African link. There's been many of those throughout the course of the summer. But again, another left winger. Rangers looking to strengthen in that area.
You will not be surprised to know that I know very, very little about this boy. Well, I say very little. I actually mean nothing at all until his name.
You know, the football club existed, I've got to say, until I heard about him.
No, until this one popped up yesterday evening, I had never heard of him. I think it points to actually something I mentioned in a piece I've got on the site this morning, going through what Rangers could potentially look to do over these last few days. I think a winger is definitely an area that they have to strengthen. They do need another option in those wide areas. Ideally, for me, it'd be someone that can play both sides, and if they can play number 10 to provide a bit of a competition in there as well, that would be great. I just think they're a bit light in those areas. And you look at Cortez coming in, I do like him, but we don't know how good he's going to be, how reliable he's going to be in terms of one, fitness, as we've seen now, unfortunately, and two, in terms of his performances. Charlie on the right hand side, we think there's definitely a really good footballer in there, and he definitely looks the part. Apart from that, you're then getting into your Scott Wright, someone else that can be moved on. You're into Ross McCausland, squad player rather than starter at present. Matondo, myself and Josh spoke about him yesterday, a guy who, until kick-off on Saturday, people would have happily sold him. 90 minutes later, he's potentially starting at Parkhead this weekend. I just think it's an area of the squad that is short on, not short on numbers, but short on quality, short on guys that you can actually say they will have a game-changing, match-winning difference. This one, I say, you've got no idea about his quality, no idea if there's anything in it or not. I know that Rangers are aware of him. I don't believe that a bid has been made as of yet. Whether that's going to change or not, next couple of days will tell. But I say he is a player that Rangers are aware of. His name has been spoken about, but I say, as far as I understand it, a bid hasn't actually been made. So one for me to get back onto today, one for everyone to keep an eye on, and I'm sure the flight radar troops will be all over flights from Egypt into Glasgow over the next 48 hours or so, just in case this one goes anywhere. But that is one to watch as it stands, I think, because normally when these ones are that left field, you generally find there's a wee bit something in it.
Yeah, I think I've seen a report. It was linked with a move. I'm not too sure if it was Liverpool or a team down south a couple of seasons ago, but nothing materialised. Want to keep an eye on. Before we wrap up, Stephen gets in touch and says, big shout out to Dio for getting called up to the Ivory Coast squad. Boy is going to make us a serious profit in a couple of years. He's been called up to the Ivory Coast squad for their African Cup of Nations qualifiers. So he'll take on the likes of Kenya and Gabon in the upcoming qualifiers. In fact, no, he played against those two. He's playing against Zambia and Chad on September the 6th and the 10th. So, he had to decide because Ghana also wanted him to represent their nation, but he chose Ivory Coast. So, good to see international recognition for the players, Chris. And as Stephen says, I think he's... Rangers can hold on to him for a couple of seasons, sell him for a big profit, then that is what the player trading model is all about, I guess.
Indeed. On the international front, as you say, he has had that decision to make. Fair play to him for having those options. Just one request: don't come back injured.
Oh.
I know the fans will certainly wish him well, but just don't come back injured from these games. That goes for all the international players that will be going away over the next couple of weeks. But no, he's someone that I do like. He's someone that I think will be worth the money. And as the comment says there, he should make his money going forward if he can continue to progress in the manner that the manager clearly believes he will do, and that we all think he can do. There's definitely a player in there. There's definitely a profit to be made in there. And you mentioned that player trading model, that ill-fated phrase of player trading model. He is the ideal example. You go and get someone who has got a bit of experience behind him, but has not got that profile yet, and you use European football and hopefully going on and challenging for silverware you give him that profile, you give him that experience, and you then go and try and make a bit of money on him.
Yep, absolutely. Next comment from Sandy, gets in touch, says, morning all, retired on Friday, so now here every day. Keep up the good work, guys. So thank you for your kind words, Sandy, and all the best with your retirement. And yeah, good to have you tuning in to the Rangers Review. Right, that'll do us there. Big thanks to you all for tuning in and interacting with myself and Chris this morning. Over on the website, as Chris says, he's got that transfer piece on there. There's also a Tom Lawrence piece where he looks ahead to the upcoming Old Firm derby this coming Sunday. It'll be here before we know it. We'll properly look ahead to that, I'm sure, tomorrow and beyond. As it's going to be a big one. Can Rangers go and get a result over at the other side of the city? Let's hope so. Right, if there's any breaking transfer stories or what have you, folks, we'll be back on. I think we'll record, for those of you that are extra members on the Rangers Review YouTube channel, will record a Q&A this afternoon as well. So get your questions in. I'll pop the link out on the community page. Fire your questions in and we'll get through as many as we possibly can. Right, until then, I'll speak to you this afternoon. If I don't speak to you then, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Bye for now.